Hi, and welcome to CMPP Speaks for Schools programme. Today, I'm going to be chatting to Jennifer Grélard, and she is the Service Delivery Manager for a company called Dynavics. Now, Jennifer's going to tell us a little bit more about what she does and how she got to her position. So, hi, Jennifer.
Hi there.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
No problems at all.
So, Jennifer, first of all, tell us then what a Service Delivery Manager does. What's your actual job role?
So my, official role at Dynavics is to predominantly work with our clients or anything related to client servicing. So it could be, people wanting new requests, it can be complaints, points of escalation, could just be general queries, maybe new licenses, just anything that our client base needs. And it just sort of helps to firstly bring everything together for the company, but also to, sort of centralize everything and keep friction off the rest of the teams from sort of running around madly and just keeping everyone organized. So that's the sort of predominant nature of my role. Okay.
And what's sort of, just give us a brief sort of overview of Dynavics and what that sort of company.
Yeah, so Dynavics, we're a small but rapidly growing company that work in the Microsoft Business Central space. Business Central being a Microsoft ERP system that rolls out to sort of medium to large enterprises. What we do well at Dynavics is we create bespoke systems for people as well. So it could be from, a small finance implementation to complex e-commerce sort of website integrations that have, different sort of shipments and couriers and payment devices and all sorts of fun things that happen sort of in the world of retail or in commerce. And what we try to be is sort of a friendly solution and friendly people that you can come and talk to, but also try to sort of break down the kind of technical jargon that you get with this kind of role, that get with this kind of implementation. So a lot of people come to us and say, oh, we're interested in a new system, but we don't really know what it means. And we don't really know how you can help us, but we know we need help. We're sort of plodding along with a 15-year-old system that doesn't quite work well. And we know that we're growing. So we're kind of the go-to to speak to and to see whether we can help you with this kind of solution.
Yeah, so you're basically helping other companies with their information technology, their technology side of things.
Absolutely right. Yeah.
So how did you get to this service delivery manager role then, from sort of when you left school?
So when I left school, so I was actually quite young when I left school. I was actually 16 years old. I was fortunate enough through my schooling to be part of what we call in Australia an accelerated learning program. So I skipped a year of school, which at the time seemed great, but then it launched me into university very early and I was lost, quite frankly. I came out, I got my school scores, and then I said to my parents, as you do at 16, what am I going to do? So at that time, and it's showing my age, but that was around 1998, technology wasn't quite as big as it is today. And they said, well, what about computer science? So I said, of course, let's just give that a go. It's 3 years of my life. If you don't like it, you can switch. But I did stick with it and became a programmer at the time. And I stayed in that sort of profession for 10 years. At that time, I discovered this world that I'm in now. And I did that for 10 years and realized that through that sort of journey of speaking to people, I did loads of traveling with that job and those sort of intermediate jobs that I really, really just love talking to clients and talking to end users and talking to developers and consultants. So I managed to do a bit of a shift. I managed to then say, well, even though I have a great technical background and I'm able to be a developer, I'm going to start moving into being more a consulting and service delivery role. And actually, I went to work for a big film studio. And I did that for 8 years and I sort of piloted their sort of production accounting software. I became an SME. I did lots and lots of hats there. So I was in support, I was in, testing, I was in lots and lots of different roles. And again, what all these kind of things led to was just realizing that, again, I like to talk to people. I have a technical background with that role as well. I developed a sort of, specialism in business analysis as well. So I got a diploma in that. And I guess that's all brought me to where I am today by bringing everything together and just sort of giving it a go. And I guess what is really nice about my journey is that even though I was qualified in one thing, I've ended up sort of pivoting to something completely different, even though it is all connected, just by finding what I'm good at, just finding what I like and what I liked most about each job and each company I worked with, and just really being able to find my strengths. It's taken me 20 years to get here. So, even though you might leave school and think, yeah, that's it, I want to be a vet, you might actually along the way decide, oh, actually, I like this part of it, or something completely different is triggering me. And it's really important to listen to that and to sort of put that into your journey of where you're going to become.
Yeah. Oh, no, thank you for sharing that. It's absolutely fantastic. And what a journey. And like you say, you started studying in Australia then, did you? What point did you move over to the UK?
Yeah, so I think like a lot of expats, it started as a 10-month journey into the UK, and it was just because the UK is an easy place to come over. It's English, obviously, as a language, and then the skills I had were transferable. Yeah. And I just really love traveling. So traveling's been in my blood since I was 10 months old. And it was just knowing that being in the UK enabled me towards Europe very easily. But actually, 10 months on and I wasn't ready to go home. And so I used all of my time in the UK to then travel further afield. So, I've traveled in most corners of the world, actually. And thankfully, my career has sort of kept me going with that. And quite simply, it gave me the money I needed to be able to do that. And then as I got into my 30s, then I had kids and that sort of thing. So yeah, haven't quite gone back, but have definitely established my life here now.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. And you've always been into computers then? I mean, you said that back when you weren't sure what to do, your parents were just like, how about computer science? Because you were always into computers, or is it just because you're good at it, or?
So I think I just quite frankly wasn't sure. I was pretty okay at STEM subjects, and I think that's something that I am very encouraging of other young people, and especially women, to come into technology. So I was, the core STEM subjects, being like maths and science, I always had probably a bit more, I don't know, it was just a bit better at those than say, doing the arts and things like that. I'm just not good at drawing. I'm decent at singing, I guess. And so I think that enabled me to think, well, maybe a technology field. If not, it probably would have been something in the science field or something similar. In terms of computers themselves, though, my dad was a computer science teacher, so he probably had some influence of that. He used to bring home very old Macs, so I used to help him format and things like that. But no, I don't know. I just kind of gave it a go. And then once I was in the degree, just realized that actually it was something I could do. And it really was aligned to the way that I think and the way that I work.
Yeah. And were you one of the few women on the course at the time? So you're sort of saying it's 1998. So I presume it wasn't quite female led, but.
Yeah, so at the time it definitely was. It's probably not the same now, but I very, very much remember walking into the lecture theatres in, 1999 when I started the degree, and, just seeing an absolute sea of men or of, people who, and a lot of them were extremely talented. They're probably, working at the big sort of technology companies now. They all knew how to program. They all knew how to write computer games, and it was quite daunting.
Yeah.
But especially my friends in computer science, a lot of them were female, and we all stuck together and we all supported each other. So even though it was so male dominated, we still got a lot of support. And I hope the stigma has come out of that now. But yes, definitely when I started, it was male dominated, but I have seen a shift as the years have gone on.
Well, even that with Dynavics, and we've sort of worked with Dynavics a bit, you can see there's quite a good split now, isn't there, with sort of male and female roles, which is absolutely brilliant. And what other sort of life skills do you think you've needed along the way? I mean, you've talked a lot about traveling and things like that. Are there any other life skills that you think have been beneficial to where you've got to today?
I think a bit of, I guess, tenacity, and that's probably just come from my parents, that even if a gate sort of shuts you down at some point, or somebody tells you can't do something, or you somehow think you can, but you don't believe in yourself, it's just to keep going. The journey may not be straight. It may be a bit wiggly along the way. My parents, they truly came from sort of nothing and developed a life in Australia for us, my brother and I, and we've come through that journey with them and sort of made our own careers and families. So that's one thing. We're not scared of a challenge. So that's probably a big life skill that was imparted on us. I guess another life skill, honestly, and I'm quite a detailed person and can be maybe a bit over organized, but sometimes you've just got to learn how to just laugh it off and figure it out sometimes, because it doesn't go perfectly. Like that's a big thing I've discovered in the last sort of 10, 15 years of my career, that doesn't matter where you think you're going to be in a year's time and this is the perfect dream and this is what you think you can achieve. You've got to sort of laugh off the things that don't quite work and pick yourself back up and just keep going.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so do you have any what are your future plans career wise? Will you stay sort of that position, or do you have any plans to?
Yeah, so I think where I'm probably headed is sort of using a lot more of my business analysis background. So sort of helping Dynavics sort of move into the next phase of its life operationally. It's already growing rapidly and we're in a bit of a whirlwind right now, but it's, a lot of fun and the team are growing as well. And I think operationally, we're trying to just nurture, a good working culture and to keep the company sort of, in this sort of growing family situation. And it's a big challenge. It's something that I've never done before. So I think that's probably where the journey is going for me at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, it's exciting at Dynavics, isn't it? Like you say, it's growing and it's lovely, gives a lovely family sort of vibe as well. So do you have any final bits of advice for any sort of school-age students just making their choices or thinking about their career or future?
Yeah. So I think any advice I would give is firstly, listen to yourself and what you like. I know that to get into certain courses or whatever require, very specific needs. And if you are good at them, absolutely, but don't be closed to sort of listening to yourself and thinking, actually, maybe I could involve some of those other subjects. So for instance, if you're very good at music, definitely include that as part of your selection and not being scared to say include STEM subjects, even though you're, feel like you're in a minority and that sort of thing. And when it comes to it and you try it and you give it your best go, even if it doesn't work out, there's still a time to change. Being in school, you can feel like, oh, if it doesn't work, it's the end of the world, but it's absolutely not true. This life is just about giving things a go and changing when things don't work for you and asking for support. And that's pretty much it. Don't think that the selections and the decisions you make today will define the rest of your life, because it absolutely isn't true. And it's kind of the fun of it, it's the fun of living and just seeing what you're good at. So that's the advice I would give. That's
brilliant and so true, isn't it? Like you say, just rolling with it and see what happens, and that actually shapes the person that you end up becoming. So thank you so much, and thank you, Jennifer, for sharing your story with us today.
No problem at all. Thanks very much for having me.
Thank you.